Welcome to the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast, a space where we break free from tradition, creating a wedding day totally authentic to you and your love story. I'm Abby, UK wedding planner and owner of Elegance Unlimited, here to help you plan a wedding day that feels uniquely yours. Join me for planning tips and advice, endless inspiration, and a pocket full of calm within the chaos that is wedding planning. Consider me a trusted friend, here to walk you through it all. From injecting fun splashes of personality into your day, to reinventing tradition completely, all whilst focused on building a day bespoke to your dreams and desires. I cannot wait to get started, so let's get planning. Hello, welcome back to the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast. My name is Abby. I am a wedding planner here in the UK, here to help you with all of your wedding planning tips, all of the wedding planning woes and the inspo, all of it. I am here to provide you with a really fun, safe space for your wedding planning. So welcome back. I'm really glad that you have joined me here. We're on episode 10. 2 hands worth, which is really exciting. And we are just getting started. Let me make that very, very clear. We are by no means, in the thick of it yet. I feel like we're really just getting started. I feel like I've just started myself, like even launching this podcast and planning for it and everything, like took months and months of time. And even now that it's launched and it's out there in the world and every week we post a new episode, I still feel like, oh gosh, I've got a podcast. It's still brand new. But we've got 10 episodes. This is episode 10. Thank you for joining me. I'm very grateful to be back. I say it every single week. I am loving providing this space for you, and I'm really enjoying how much you guys are enjoying it as well. Seeing the numbers go up every week, more and more of you coming into this space to look for wedding planning help and support. And I'm always just very grateful that you've chosen me to be a helpful part of your planning process. So yeah, there we go. Today we are talking about, we're going to have like a bit of a pep talk episode this week, I think, because we're talking about wedding planning stress. And I know that this is a topic that a lot of people struggle with. I feel like there isn't a couple out there planning their wedding that doesn't experience this to some degree, unless you are just the most zen, nothing can touch me, nothing can bother me kind of person in the world, in which case I'm very jealous. Please teach me your ways. But either way, I feel like this is going to be a bit of a pep talk episode. I feel like I'm here to just motivate you, give you some advice and some inspo from the wedding planner's side of things, like that kind of perspective. And so, yeah, if you're feeling like you've struggled with any stress during a wedding planning or you're worried that you're going to, this is going to be a really helpful episode for you. So, as usual, we're going to get straight on into it. There's no need to ramble on, as I always say. I'm good at rambling, but I do just want to get straight on into things today. So let's do it. Before I do, a really, really quick reminder, if you haven't followed the podcast yet, if you're not subscribed, if you haven't left a review and you are really enjoying it, I would be super, super grateful. There are heaps of links to find me on socials and join our Facebook group and sign up to emails from me or get extra planning support, all in the show notes. If you ever need any of that, that's where you can find it. So let's talk about planning weddings and stress. And I guess the question to start off with here is planning a wedding actually stressful? And I think the answer is subjective. No, I feel like every person you ask will give you a different answer to that question. So I think a lot of it, and this is one of my first points here, is going to come down to mindset and the way that you look at things. It's the same with anything in life. You can look at something in a positive light, you can look at it in a negative light. And this isn't to say that the wedding planning process isn't stressful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to disregard anyone's stress or, emotional turmoil going through the wedding planning process by any means. But I do think that a lot of it comes down to the outlook that you put on things and the way that you manage the situation, the way that you choose to handle that. And it's different for each person, right? So it can be difficult. There's not going to be like a simple quick fix answer for every single person listening to this or every single person planning their wedding. But I do think that when we put a certain light on things and a certain spin on things, we can learn to manage the stress that comes with weddings. I personally think, yes, planning weddings is by design very stressful. And that's my perspective from a wedding planner, someone that does it as a job for a living. I think it's stressful. Do I think my job is stressful? At times, yes. Do I still love what I do? Absolutely, yes. And would I change it for the world? Absolutely not. I love what I do. I love planning weddings. I think the whole wedding planning process is incredible and fun and amazing and just such a fun experience. But I do think that for me to feel calm and organized and stress free doesn't come naturally to everyone. And I also think that it takes a bit of practice. Me having done this however many times now for however many weddings, I have my own process of navigating it so that it doesn't overwhelm me and so that it doesn't get stressful and so that I can provide an excellent service to my couples and not let the overwhelm take over, not let myself get too stressed. It's obviously very different because it's not there's a different level there, isn't there? Because I'm not planning my own wedding. And who knows when my time comes, this might all get thrown out the window and I will say, oh my God, ignore everything I said. Weddings are just the worst. But no, I don't think, if you ask me now, I don't think that process is going to be the same. I feel like for me, I would handle my planning my own wedding quite well because I've got the tips and tricks under my belt, I've got the experience, but it doesn't come naturally to everyone. For most people planning a wedding, this is your first time doing it. And it's not something that you're practiced in. Even if you do something similar for a job and you're good at organizing things and planning things and all those things, it's not the same. Planning a wedding is not the same. It's personal. There are emotions involved. There's this heightened sense of emotions and pressure and all of those things that come with it. It can be a lot. Totally get that. And I do think that with the pressure and with the importance that we attach to the wedding day and all the memories we want to make, and it's a natural thing that I think people put on themselves, couples, when they're planning their wedding, that it has to be the most perfect day, and if a single thing goes wrong, that's it, the day's ruined, game over. What a waste of time. We shouldn't have even bothered. It all gets very dramatic and very emotionally charged. Completely. And I completely understand that because it's a really important day. And of course, you want to make those important memories. Of course, you want to have the most magical day with your family and friends and marry the love of your life. Of course, you do. And with that, naturally comes this emotion that can be hard to control, especially when you are navigating a process that you haven't done before. You are inundated with inspiration and choices and options. You've got people in your ears left, right, and center asking you questions, giving you unasked for opinions, and you're trying to navigate this whole process. It can be a lot. So fear not, friends. This episode, we're going to talk about some of the things that can cause stress in the wedding process, that whole kind of planning process, and how to navigate those, how to mitigate those, how to avoid those triggers altogether. And if you are feeling stressed out the process now and you're planning currently, then I'm also going to give you some tips on how we can kind of take a step back, take a deep breath, and start again. Not start again, but start that process, step back into it with a fresh mindset, feeling calm, feeling less stressed out. I want to make it clear as well, something that I think is really important to understand from the get-go is that the goal here isn't zero stress. The goal isn't to get rid of stress altogether and have an absolutely fairy tale film-like process where nothing goes wrong, everything feels like you're floating on clouds 24/7. That's not the goal. And if that is your goal and if that's your mindset, then I hate to tell you that it's probably a really unrealistic one. Very few people will go through the wedding planning process with zero issues, zero stress and concerns, any of those kind of things. It's just not realistic. That's not real life. And I think that's one really important thing to remember. The goal is not zero stress, but it's manageable and no unnecessary stress. So let's talk about some of the things that cause stress during wedding planning. And if I said to you now, if I ask the question, obviously I can't hear your responses, but if I ask the question now, what's causing you stress during wedding planning? What are some of the things that are causing you to feel stressed out? I know that you listening now, there's like a whole bunch of things just flying around your brain now that have just gone, well, that stressed me out. That stressed me out. This is a lot. I don't like that. This isn't making me feel good. If you're feeling anything like that, those things have just come flooding into your brain right now. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to trigger any upset or emotional turmoil for you, but You know what I'm talking about. When I ask that question, what's causing stress, you know instantly. There are a few things coming up that just don't make you feel very good inside. That feeling in your stomach, the stress in your chest, like it's not a nice feeling. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I want us to have a really enjoyable wedding planning process because I feel like it's just as important as the wedding day in its own special way. And it is the foundation of your wedding day in so many ways. The way that you feel during your wedding planning process, the way that you handle those situations, the outlook that you go into it with is going to set the foundation for your entire wedding day. If you go through your wedding planning process and you are stressed and uptight and you're anxious and everything's bothering you and you just hate it and you just can't wait for it to be over, you are going to get to your wedding day and think, Christ, I'm so glad that this is finally here. Let's just get it over and done with. What a horrible feeling to go into your wedding day with. I don't want that for any single person. And I know that there are people that go into their wedding day feeling like that. And it breaks my heart. It really, really does. As a wedding planner that wants everybody to just have a great day, knowing that breaks my heart. But it makes sense, right? Because if you go through any process in life, if you're trying to get a new job, maybe you're having a baby, maybe you're moving house, if you go through that process with everything's bothering me, everything is awful, I can't wait for this to be over, how do you feel when you finally get into that house? How do you feel when you finally get into that new job? You're just thinking, oh, thank God for that, instead of thinking, oh my, this is so exciting, I've been waiting for this for so long and this is just the most amazing feeling, can't believe we're finally here. They're very different feelings and very different outlooks as well. And again, this isn't to shame anyone or to make anyone feel crap about themselves if they are feeling this way. It's totally natural. And I think there's a lot of things in life that encourage us to look at things in a negative way and encourage us to just feel that stress and hold on to that tension and the pressure and just not look at anything like everything's doom and gloom. And no, we don't do that around here. Okay. So, no shame, no issues at all if you are feeling that way, but you are in the right place to flip that mindset around. Okay. If nothing else, I can help you look at this with a positive outlook and help you feel a bit better about things. So, causes of stress, let's talk about a few of them. One of the big ones is going to be budget and finance. It's a huge stress when it comes to weddings because weddings are expensive. They are a luxury, they are a privilege. Let's say that straight off the bat, but they're expensive and they're a big investment for a lot of people. And I see a lot of things online and out in the wedding space where people saying, I only spent this much on my wedding and so you don't need to spend loads on your wedding, I didn't, and all these things. And that's great. I will always advocate for people doing their wedding day the way they want to. If that means going super, super low budget, doing most things yourself and just having a really small, intimate day, amazing. But let's also remember the other side of things where some people don't want a small day. Some people think this is our marriage launch party. Like we want to go all out. We're only going to do this once. And for us, I'm going off on a few tangents here, but you know, when people say, oh, it's all this money for just one day. Oh, the way that boils my blood, the way that rages me when people say, oh, wedding day's just one day. Of course, in the sense that you are planning an event for one day, it's one day. But again, this is that negative mindset. It's the pessimism. It's the just, ugh, I don't like those vibes because it's not just one day. It's your launch party. This is the start of your marriage. These are the memories that you're going to hold on to forever. You are going to look back on this one day for the rest of your life. You're going to hold on to those memories for the rest of your life, particularly when there are people, if they are fortunate enough to be at your wedding day, that in years to come, they might not be around anymore. And you are going to have those memories and be so grateful that they were there. You're going to have the best party of your lives. You are starting off your marriage together in the most epic way. So if you want to go all out and you want to put more money into it, and you can afford to, of course, then do it. I don't agree with the, "Oh, it's just one day, you shouldn't be spending that much money on it." And people say that to me a lot. And I'm like, honey, you are speaking to the wrong person. I'm a wedding planner. Okay. What do you want me to say? I am all for people planning this big, amazing day for their wedding days. Of course I am. So really read the room. Wrong audience completely. So either way, I support anyone that wants to have a tiny little intimate wedding that is filled with their own love and memories, and other end of the spectrum where people just want to put heaps of money into it, huge big budget, have the biggest, most epic party of their lives. Either way, whatever you choose is your day. The ultimate goal is how you feel, and the memories that you make within that. TED Talk over. I told you this was going to be a pep talk episode tonight. This is just me being like motivating you for the entire one. So if you like these kind of episodes, please let me know, because I feel like I can really sell a really, really great wedding day to anyone. It's not going to take me a lot. I love what I do. So yeah, let me know if you enjoy these kind of episodes. As we were saying, budget wise, anyway, budget can cause issues for people. If you're comparing how much other people have spent to what you can afford to spend, if you're seeing things and thinking, oh, we want to include this and this and this and this, and the price is just going up and up and up, and you're not sure how you're going to afford it, it's really tough. If you haven't been back yet, if you haven't listened to all of the episodes all the way through, I did an episode talking about how to set your wedding budget and stick to it, which is a really, really important episode and a really good one if you are at that stage where you're trying to figure out how much you can spend, where that money's going to come from, how you're going to allocate it. That's a good starting point, and I would recommend going back and listening to that one after this one, obviously. But I think that could be really, really helpful for you. So that one is there. You can find it. Just have a little scroll. There's only 10 episodes for you to scroll back through and find it. And yeah, that could be really helpful for you. But budget worries, you have to be realistic. A lot of people hide from their budget, and they're like scared of it. They don't want to look at it, they don't want to think about it, they don't want to talk about it. You can't be scared of your budget because it's your money. It's not going to come from nowhere. It's not going to magic itself into thin air. You have to be brutally honest and open with yourself about what money you have available, what you can afford to spend, where that's coming from, if you have it right now, if you have to keep saving, and you need it visible to you. You can't do the thing where you put it in a bank account and you just don't look at it, but you keep spending and you're not keeping track of how much is left, what your outgoings have been, because it's a really slippery slope, particularly with weddings. There can be a lot of hidden costs. If you've not planned a wedding before and you don't know what they're going to be, that can be really kind of like a fright when you've got extra costs coming in that you're like, oh, we didn't plan for that. I didn't think about that. And that can really mess up your plans, mess up your budget in a lot of ways. So you have to know where your money's at, and you have to check in with it regularly. And I think that's a huge way that's going to reduce the stress that you're feeling. Even though it doesn't sound fun, it's not sexy. It's not like, oh, let's talk finances. No one wants to hear that, right? But it has to be done. If it's not something that you want to handle as a couple, you don't want anything to do with it, you just want to enjoy the process, hire someone to help you do it. Hire a planner. Hire someone. I don't know if there are people that just handle budgets actually to do with weddings, like an accountant, but for weddings. Is that a thing? Should be a thing. My recommendation would be like a wedding planner. I would support, when my couples hire me, I support them with allocating their budget and keeping an eye on things and saying, okay, we can absolutely hire this supplier that's a way over budget or what we were thinking of, but I'm then going to have to help you to bring down the cost in other areas and think about how we're going to make your budget still work for you when we're spending more in other places. That's a process. And somebody with experience in the wedding industry and that knows how to help and support with those finances can help you with that. So if that's something you're really stressed about, reducing that stress in that area, that could be a really helpful place to start. Or it's just a case of checking in. I think that's the first place to start. If you're thinking, oh gosh, now we've got to get a wedding planner as well, you don't have to. It's not for everyone, but you have to then be on top of your own budget and keeping track of things. You really need to be planning from the start, from the very get-go. You need to know where you're at, and you need to check in regularly throughout the process, see where you're at, make sure you're still on top of things. It is going to help you more than I can even explain to you in this episode. And planning ahead for things as well. So being realistic, having an emergency budget, something you can dip into if things do go over or do get out of hand. I've talked about that all in the budget episode as well. I don't know did I do a whole episode on emergency budgets? Don't think I have done yet. But we talk about emergency budgets in there for sure. So it's helpful. Definitely go and listen to that one. Now, we've talked about this a little bit already, or quite a lot, I guess, with the theme being stress, but overwhelm is another huge factor that causes stress when you're planning a wedding. The overwhelm leads to the stress, and then the stress leads to more overwhelm, and it's like this really horrible cycle of just feeling awful. And it's a lot, and I get it. There's so many options out there, right? The whole process, let alone the whole process being something alien and new to you that you haven't done before, and you're trying to navigate through that. You've then got a million and one decisions to make. a million and one options out there for you to choose from. Like there are so many incredible suppliers, so many incredible options, new things coming into the space every day. You've got traditions and non-traditions and how to navigate those. There are too many choices. I will say that. And if people aren't making it easy for you to choose them, it can be tough. If you are not making it easy for yourself to make a decision, it can be tough. And stress can just fester and grow and grow and grow from this place of feeling paralyzed with not knowing what decisions to make when or which suppliers you want to choose for different parts. It can be a lot. My ultimate piece of advice here is to simplify things. Strip it back because there is nothing I can do single-handedly as just one single wedding planner to simplify the wedding industry for you. It's not possible. You need to have all these suppliers out there that offer a million one different things because every single couple wants something a bit different. So for you, it's trying to find something that feels right for you, that fits what you're looking for, checks those boxes without becoming totally paralyzed with fear and of making any decision because we don't want that. If you are feeling super stressed and like it's too much and oh, we're just overwhelmed, we don't know where to start and this is a lot, again, get yourself some help. A wedding planner can help with that. But from the very get go, the first thing I would suggest you do is just strip it back. Take an evening, forget everything you have planned or thought of, or, you know, anything saved online or printed off or ready to research so far. Forget all of that. Put that to the side and just start from the basics again. And the question I always ask people to start with or keep coming back to throughout that process is how do we want to feel? How do we want to feel as a couple on the wedding day? How do we want our guests to feel? How do we want the vibe to feel? What do we want the feel of that day to be? Is it loud and messy and fun? Is it whimsical and dreamy and romantic? Is it something in between? Is it a bit vintage and retro and, you know, old school love story? There are endless options, but it's all about how you want to feel. Do you want your guests to feel leaving loved? Do you want your guests that didn't make sense, did it? Do you want your guests to leave feeling loved, is what I meant. Do you want your guests to leave feeling loved? Do you want them to leave feeling full of amazing food? Do you want them to leave feeling like they've just had the best night of their lives ever and they've just danced their socks off all night? Think about what the most important thing is for you to feel. How do you want the whole day to feel and work backwards from that? And then as you're sifting through the options, you're working through the suppliers and the choices and the options and the colors and the textures and the styling and all those things, bring it back to is that gonna add to the feel of the day? Or is that just another thing? Think about those things. I think that's always a really nice thing to come back to because everything looks amazing. Everything looks beautiful. It's trying to find the right things that just trigger those feelings of excitement and like, oh yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. We want that done, sold, booked. Those feelings are what's really important. I think it's also important as well to stick to what's true to you. So, like, you'll know with that gut feeling what's right for us to have on our wedding day because there's so many options and there's so many trending things out there. I've talked about this before, I talk about it a lot. The trends, your wedding day is not a trend. It's your wedding day, and you're going to look back on it for years and years and years to come. It won't just be something that was trending that one year. This is you looking back on it forever, and you don't want to look back on it and think, "Oh my, why did we make those decisions? Why did we include that? That's not even anything like us. It's not even anything that we would ever think of including because we have no interest in that. Those aren't our colors. Those are just aren't our vibes. So don't be including things just because you think, oh, well, everyone else is doing it. So this is what's popular in weddings right now. We should do that. If it feels right for you, absolutely include it. But if it doesn't, then find the things that do feel right for you. And that might be something that's really traditional, that's been around for years and years and years, but you just think, oh, this is just perfect for our day. Like we love that it's done this way and we love how this looks. So we're going to have that too. That's absolutely fine. You don't need to constantly, although I'm always advocating for non-traditional weddings and reinventing tradition and finding that personal way to do your day. I'm always advocating for that, but that does not mean that the traditional things, typically speaking, aren't what's right for you. They might be, in which case, use them and crack on with it and enjoy it, and that'll be perfect for you. I'm not always trying to push like a really unique day that no one's ever seen before, because there are certain things that have been around for years that are perfect for your day. So have a think about things like that. Sift through the ideas, take your time. If it's overwhelming, take a deep breath, strip things back, and then ease yourself back into the process. You sometimes just need that fresh sense of perspective just to flip things on its head a little bit. We're going to talk about communication for just a second and boundaries. I've talked about this a bit before, I think, in my episode, might be my very first episode, talking about how to plan for your wedding planning. But setting the boundaries and being clear with how you're going to communicate through the process with your partner, your friends, your family, your suppliers, and being really clear about what you want, what you don't want throughout the process is so, so important. This is a big day, right? We've just talked about this earlier. This is a big day. There's a lot riding on it. You want to make the most amazing memories. You want to have the perfect day. So if you are not being absolutely crystal clear when you are speaking to anyone about your wedding day, things get murky. Important details get missed. The communication isn't clear, so people misunderstand, and then things get stressful. Okay? And it festers, it grows, just like anything else. The stress is always going to start as something little, and it's going to grow into something that just feels big and horrible and keeps you up at night. You're stressing about it. You've got that feeling in your chest, and it's horrible. So we don't want that. We want to remove that. And the way that you can plan ahead and avoid some of that stress altogether is just to be really clear, and hold any boundaries in place about things that are important to you and things that you want to do. I saw some really nice comments recently on one of my posts on Instagram. We were talking about I can't remember what we were talking about now, but someone basically had put in the comments that this is what we were going to do. Like we like totally agree with what I was saying. Essentially, we wanted to do this, and I've had so much pushback from my mum. She said I've had so much pushback from my mum. She hates this. She thinks we have to do it the traditional way, but we're not going to. And I'm really excited to do it our way on the day. And I was just like, oh, I love that. Like you're holding a boundary in place. I was like, good for you. Like so pleased for you that you are holding that boundary in place because it's what's right for you on the day. Because I get it. Sometimes people don't agree. People get very precious about weddings when it's not their wedding. And I will never understand it. Truly. The rules that people put on, you have to do this and you have to do that. And parents, particularly, and grandparents, like the traditional side of things, they say, you can't do that. This has to be done at this time of the day. You can't do it earlier in the day or later in the day. And this has to look a certain way. You can't change it and make it look a different way. Like, yes, you can. Who said so? Someone one day, years and years and years and years ago, decided this is what weddings look like, and no one's questioned it since. Really? I don't know about that. I don't know about that at all. I find it really strange that I understand traditions stem from all sorts of different places, don't they? And traditions have their own place in society, and some people love them, some people hate them. But I always find it crazy that one day someone decided this is how a wedding looks. And we've all just done it that way since. And now people want to change that and people get very upset about it. But if you've had your wedding day and you went traditional and you loved it and it was perfect for you, great. You had your day. Move along. Okay. It's someone else's turn and they get to do it however they want to do it. They want to break all the rules and they want to flip it on its head and do everything upside down. That's what they're going to do. It's their day. You get to be a guest. You're so lucky to have been invited to be a guest at their wedding, to watch them get married and watch them launch their marriage. Whose opinion matters here apart from theirs? I will never understand it. I get very passionate about it. I don't know if you can tell. But yeah, I find it very strange. We are allowed to question tradition. We are allowed to question anything, especially for our wedding day, especially when we're putting so much money into it, especially when we're so emotionally invested in it. And it's your wedding day. The only opinions that matter is you and your partners. It's that simple. One tip that I always suggest, if you know, and you'll know your family and friends, you'll know the kinds of people that are going to stick their nose in and start telling you, you have to do this and you have to do this. And I don't agree with that. And that doesn't look good. You know, those kind of people in your life. We've all got some of them somewhere that just, they've got an opinion and they like to let everyone know about it. I always advise people to just be cautious with that. You know, those people, go into the situation and into the process knowing who those people are and just be careful what you're telling them. It's, keep certain things close to your chest, keep it a surprise for the day. If you think they're going to be funny about it and make your life a living hell whilst you're trying to plan your wedding, maybe just say, oh, surprise on the day. No one's going to come up to you on the day and tell you that they think your wedding is crap, unless they are truly derived from the depths of hell. No one's going to do that to you. If they do, free reign to kick them out. 100%. And I'll always do that. If you've got me up as a wedding planner for your wedding day and you say, get rid of them, all right, I am on it. Don't tell anyone on their wedding day that you don't like it or that there's things you don't like or don't agree with. Keep it to yourself. Let's not gossip. Let's just let them have their day. Okay. But if you are worried about it during that wedding planning process and you're thinking that the stress is going to be too much and you're going to have Aunt Sue in your ear telling you, oh, you have to do this and I don't like this. And then you've got maybe your mum in the other side saying that dress doesn't look good on you. Maybe don't bring them along to those things and just say, can't wait for you to see you on the day, and navigate that process. Put things in place, put your boundaries in place to make sure that you are in control and that you are having the day that you deserve. It is possible. I know it's tough for some people out there. Not everybody has the perfect family dynamic. I don't think anybody does. Okay. But it's harder for some people, particularly when it comes to weddings, because families are complicated, friends are complicated, and it can be a lot. I will also say clear communication with suppliers, because suppliers are never just working on one wedding. And of course, we do our absolute best to give you the perfect day, and we are making sure that we've got every detail and we're focusing on all those things. But if there's anything you're ever worried about or questioning, or you're thinking, oh, is that definitely clear with them? Like, have I definitely made it clear enough that we want it done this way and not this way? Just tell them again and be super, super clear with them. And if you need to keep reiterating things, please do. I always, always say, please tell me if like there's something you're worried about that you're not sure that I'm fully grasping, or that you're not sure that I'm fully understanding exactly the way you want it. We can go over it as many times as you want. And if you have a supplier that's not willing to listen to you on that front, then maybe they are not the right supplier for you, because this is your wedding day. I'm here to work for you. If there's something you're worried about and there's something you want to talk about, talk to me about it. If you think I'm not understanding something, or you think that you want to make something extra, extra clear because you're worried that it's not going to go down a certain way on the day, talk to me about it. I can reassure you. We can talk things through. And with that communication, we are making sure that no stone is left unturned. I know exactly how you want things done on the day, and it's going to go perfectly. Being clear with your suppliers is so, so, so important, because we want the best for you as well. So if you are not clear with us and you are not communicating because you're worried about what we might think, or you're worried about being an inconvenience, or you're worried about whatever it might be, you're only doing a disservice to yourself and the service that we can provide for you. Just be clear with everyone. Let's just talk things through. That's the ultimate point here, isn't it? There are heaps and heaps and heaps of different things that can cause stress on a wedding day. I could be here for ages going through so many of them, but we'll talk about one more, and then we will talk about how to not have a stressful wedding journey. We've talked about it a little bit as we're going through, but I'll give you some kind of top tips before we finish. But the last thing I wanted to talk about that can cause a lot of stress in the wedding planning process, and I guess on the wedding day itself, is problems and last minute changes. Nobody likes to be caught off guard, right? And if you've got a plan and it's going really well and this is exactly how you want it to go, and something then causes that to change, it's stressful. The fact is, anything can go wrong with your wedding day or in the planning process itself. Anything can go wrong. And I think it's very naive of anyone to go into the process thinking that it's going to go perfectly. That can cause a lot of stress. If you are dead set on nothing's going to go wrong and everything has to go perfectly for my wedding day, something's going to go wrong. It could be a tiny little thing, like someone's misplaced something on the day and you can't find it for an hour. That's technically a problem that needs fixing, right? Or it could be something major, like a supplier pulling out 2 days before the wedding because they've had like a family emergency and they've had to, they can't come anymore. It's rare, but it happens. And most suppliers will have a clause in their wedding contract with you. They might be able to find someone else to come and fill that spot, but some cases they might not be able to. And then that falls to you to have to fix that. So how are we navigating that? How are we handling that stress? Top tip, and the first thing I'll suggest, is you need a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, so on and so on. And these don't have to be plans set in stone. You don't have to have a whole bunch of suppliers that you've paid and that are just waiting on the back burner to maybe turn up to your wedding. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is you need to have in mind What are we going to do if this happens? Do we have a list of people maybe that we could call on and say, last minute emergency, are you available? Okay, it's going to cost us extra money at that moment in time, but that's what we'll have to do. Are you prepared for a situation like that? And also, are you going to let things like that get to you? If for some reason your cake can't turn up, are you going to, like, how are you going to handle that? Are you going to say, okay, well, we need to find another cake? Or are you going to say, okay, no stress, we just won't have the cake? It's not a deal breaker for us. Some things won't be deal breakers for you, some issues that will pass you by and you think, do you know what? I'm just going to let that wash over me. No big deal. It's all good. Other things will come in and you'll think, oh my God, maybe the dress isn't going to, you're having issues with getting the dress ready on time and they're having to push it here and whatever else. Can you just pick up the dress and go find someone else to alter it for you last minute? There will be solutions for everything, but the key here, and back to that mindset, it's how to handle those issues. How are we going to move ourselves through that process so that we are feeling calm throughout and we're not letting things get to us? It's hard because, again, it's emotionally charged. It's your wedding day. It's a really big day. The more things you let stress you out, the more you are going to get to your wedding day and just think, oh. And stress festers in the body, right? The more stressed you feel, the more likely you are to get unwell. The more likely you are is to show in your face and your skin. You're not going to be as glowing. Your eyes are going to look stressed and tired. You might be breaking out with loads of spots, and you might be feeling sick, like you might not be eating properly, and then that affects your like energy levels, all these things. Like, it sounds like a reach, but it's not. I think looking after your body and looking after yourself in the wedding planning process is so important because there's a lot of pressure for this one day and anything can happen. Anyone can get ill right before their wedding day or anything can happen. So we want to be looking after ourselves, and stress is a really big way to help ourselves stay healthy by not having stress. I mean, not by having more of it. We want to have less stress. So problems and last minute changes can be really stressful because you're not expecting them. And there's only so much you can plan for. There will be certain things that you can't plan for. Like if something happened with your venue, you can't have a backup venue ready. But what you can do is, if the worst happens, you can take a deep breath and say, okay, how do we fix this? And you come up with a solution. I don't believe that a wedding day is only perfect if you have your perfect venue, your perfect dress, your perfect playlist, your perfect cake, all those things. I think they are amazing add-ons, and I think they are a beautiful way to accentuate the day. But ultimately, a perfect wedding day comes from how you look at it. Do you look back and think that was perfect? Everyone was there that we wanted to be there. We've made the most amazing memories, and I'm married to the love of my life. That's the main thing, right? Isn't it? Aside from everything else, that is the main thing. I think so much pressure is put on the way things look, and that if the cake looks different, or certain people can't be there, or certain songs aren't played, your guests aren't going to notice. The only people that are going to notice those things is you and your partner. So how are you going to handle that? What is your outlook on that? Are you able to look past the material things and focus on the memories? In which case, I think you will always have a perfect day if you can. Don't get me wrong, the material things are also very important. I think having a beautiful wedding day, there's nothing like it, but certain things are going to happen, certain things are going to change, and I think having an open mindset and being able to say, it doesn't bother me. I'm not going to let it ruin my wedding day. Do not give any problems that arise the power to ruin your wedding day and ruin the memories that you're going to make. Because ultimately, if you're married at the end of it, then you've won. It's been a success, win-win, you know? So, outlook, mindset, be positive, and have a plan B for everything, particularly if you've got an outside venue. I've talked about this before. If you've got an outside venue, outside ceremony, have a plan B because it could rain. We're in England, okay? Lest us not forget, you need an alternative option, something inside that if the worst happens, and you need to love it just as much as well. You need to love your plan B just as much as you love your plan A. And that comes down to mindset. That comes down to how you look at it. Are you going to look at the negatives, or are you going to look at the positives and think, this is not what we planned, but I just can't wait to get married to you? Think about it. So I've talked a lot for this time. This is probably going to be a bit of a longer one than we are used to. But let's do some tips on how to not have a stressful wedding planning journey, some quick fire tips, and then we'll do a little roundup, and then another episode will be under our belts. How do we feel about that? I've talked about these a bit throughout the episode. We've kind of touched on those a little bit, but to round us up for how not to have a stressful wedding day, try these. Try these things. Here's my tips. Get some help. Ultimately, it's a lot to navigate this process that you have never done before. It's a lot to plan a wedding when you've not navigated any of these things before. You've not done this process. Even if you're a project manager in life, even if you plan events for corporate settings, it's not the same. And when you're planning your own wedding, there's a level of emotion that comes into it that you sometimes can't see past. If you're overwhelmed, if you're strapped for time, if you're feeling stressed in any sense of the word, if you're struggling with your budget, get yourself some help. A wedding planner, shameless plug, like myself, can help you do that. And if you do need any more information or you want to talk things through or you want a consultation with me, the links are always in the show notes as well. You can come directly and we can have a chat, talk about it, find the right solution for you. It might be me, it might not be. There are heaps of amazing wedding planners, let me just say that. That do full wedding planning, partial wedding planning, just on the day kind of support where they help you for the month of, or kind of ad hoc meetings. Like they'll give you calls throughout the wedding planning process for when you need help. You can go to them and say, "Can I just book an hour with you?" Some people will do that. So ask them, reach out, find someone that can help you with that process and don't struggle with it alone. Because, like I said earlier, a stressful wedding planning process leads to feelings of stress and anxiety lingering on the wedding day. And we don't want that. You have to be realistic. Okay. So look at things with a realistic eye. Don't think that this is going to be some Hollywood movie and nothing's going to go wrong and we're just going to be riding around on unicorns all day and it's just going to be perfect, because this is real life. Things go wrong every single day in life, whether it's you've spilt your coffee before work or your car breaks down or I don't know, anything happens, you break your leg, anything happens. Okay. Life happens to us every single day. We are in it, we are living it. We cannot stop it. Your wedding day is not an anomaly that just because it's your wedding day, the universe goes, oh, your day's just going to be absolutely perfect. Nothing's going to go wrong. It's just not how it works, as much as I wish that it did. There might be some problem solving involved. You might need some support with that. But the main aim of things is to be realistic and understand that this is real life. So be realistic with your budget and what you can afford. Be realistic with your expectations and all of the things. Eliminate that stress. Just understand that this is life and what will be will be. We can only do so much. Also, take breaks. Do not let wedding planning become your entire life or your entire personality. Don't get me wrong. I totally get it because it's so exciting. But you are much more likely as well to get like those post wedding blues when you've literally done nothing else for 18 months. Everything you do has been wedding planning. You haven't taken a single date night out with your partner that you just haven't talked about the wedding, and you've just been a couple, just you two again. When you've not taken a single night off of the week where you're not researching things and scrolling through Instagram and focusing on things about wedding planning and who you're going to talk to next and what needs sorting and this, that, and the other. Take breaks. Dedicate days to focus on your wedding planning and then take breaks, take weekends off, take time. Like it's like any other thing. It becomes a full-time job on top of life, maybe your other full time job or looking after the kids or caring for a family member. It becomes a lot and it takes up your time. So take breaks regularly, even if you don't want to, even if you feel fine and you think, I can carry on doing this because I'm having a great time. Just take breaks. I promise you, it's going to make the world a difference. I think we have deduced from this episode that no wedding is 100% stress free. It's life and it's stressful and it can be a lot, but it's how you handle it and how you prepare for situations and navigate scenarios that is going to make you feel the way you want to feel ultimately. So if you're feeling anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, hating the process, just want to get it over and done with, maybe I can't change that. Maybe this will just go straight over your heads and that's fine. It's no big deal. I'm not here to be everyone's guru. But for the people that are listening that are just desperate to enjoy the process and they really thought it was going to be different and they're not enjoying it, take some tips from this. Take a deep breath. Remember that it's one day that launches your marriage, okay? So although I've said it's not just one day, you look back on it forever, it is one day in life that we can't control any more than any other wedding day. So, yes, it's important. Yes, it's a really important day, but we can't control that one day. So, just relax, take a deep breath, enjoy the process. This is supposed to be really fun and enjoyable. I was going to do a roundup for this episode, but I feel like we've kind of we've kind of rounded it up just there, haven't we? I think that's a nice little place to stop. So I hope this episode has been helpful for you. I hope it's been enjoyable. If you like listening to me ramble on, I can give all the tips in the world, but sometimes just listening to someone talk things through, I think can be really helpful. So if you like this kind of style of episode, let me know. I am a good rambler. This girl can ramble on. She can talk for not even just England, for the world. I love a chat. So let me know if you found this helpful. If you have questions about this, or you have stories you want to share, or you have anything you want to share with me, the email to contact me with is in the show notes below. All of the links, as I mentioned at the start, you can find me with for social media and my wedding planning page. All those things you can find there. You can come join the Facebook group. You can sign up to my email list. There's a whole bunch of things that whatever support you're looking for after this point, after this episode, you can find down there. So hopefully this has been helpful. I cannot wait to keep doing this podcast, keep releasing more episodes with you. Thank you for joining me for 10 whole episodes. It's really, really exciting. And yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back next week with some more tips for you. See you then. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast. I hope you're feeling inspired and excited to create your dream wedding day and those lasting memories. Don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. I'll be back next Wednesday with more tips, advice, and inspiration. In the meantime, don't be a stranger. Come and find me on Instagram and TikTok at Your Wedding Unlimited, where I share even more wedding ideas and behind-the-scenes insights. You can also watch these episodes on YouTube at Your Wedding Unlimited. And if you're looking for even more support, come and join my private Facebook group, Your Wedding Unlimited. It's an amazing community of fun and authentic engaged couples, packed with extra tips, advice, and insights to guide you along your journey. If you have any questions or need more info, you can DM me or send me an email at yourweddingunlimitedpodcast@gmail.com. All links and details will be in the show notes. Until next time, happy planning!